I'm Bill Rogers. I'm also known as the voice of Disneyland, the guy that goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to one extra day. It's the madness that preceded February 29th, 2012. Our three amigos, Bill and Stan and Chris, are there at this one crazy event, and we're going to see them now."
Today is a special day at Disneyland. My name is Chris Dallin, and we're here for the next 3 days. Basically, we're here because Disney had a special day on the 29th of February where they're going to open up for 24 hours. So you're going to see just a few brief moments of that fun activity that we had on a great Disney day. We're going to jump from parks, we're going to go to lands, we're going to ride all sorts of rides in a quick pace, and so that you can see just a little bit of the Disney magic that exists. There are so many things to do, fun activities for kids, but we want to show you some inside secrets that make Disney such a special place to be. Again, today is the 29th of February. It is a leap day, only happens every 4 years. Disneyland decided to celebrate with another Disney Day. So we're here again with legions of people enjoying the electric moment of opening the park the way that it should be, with fanfare and the Disneyland Band, Mickey and Friends, and everything that is good about America. It's Bert. Hi, Bert.
Nice to see you. Are you making a film or something?
Oh, no, no.
Poppins 2 right here?
We are making a home video that includes Bert, no less.
Well, now it does, right?
Yes, it does, and so the casting was cheap.
There you go, right, you know. Well, Mickey Mouse pays me with cheese, and so I've got my payment right here in the pocket. Good to go.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, Bert, it's nice to meet you.
From
We're from Utah, Bert.
Lovely. Well, welcome to the Disneyland, indeed. Enjoy Mr. Lincoln's theatre. I think he's inside, you know, giving speeches, you know. He's
and that's what he does, I understand. So
yes,
that's good.
He's quite talented. I don't give speeches. It's not my thing. So, nice to see you too. Right.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Brent.
And he pays him in cheese, but he pays me in churros.
And churros.
Yes.
Well, that's better. Churros spend a little bit better than cheese.
I think they do.
Yeah.
It's a better currency for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you're welcome.
Thanks.
Come on in. We've got plenty of displays.
So what can you tell us about the great moments with Mr. Lincoln? This used to be where the Walt Disney story was told.
Yes, it was. So come on in. We call this building the Opera House. This is actually the first building built in Disneyland. It was first used as the lumber mill, and then it came to be
the first building made as they built, and so Walt could overlook that from his apartment, right?
Yes.
No, as I understand, this is the very bench that Walt was sitting on when he came up with the idea with his daughters. So he was sitting on this bench.
So this is one of the benches that was around the carousel. So we assume at some point Walt did sit on this bench.
Right, that's
and
great.
This is one of the carousel horses that we had at Griffith Park. So now it's part of our collection. And the Walt story is, you know, well, I'm sitting on a bench eating peanuts and thinking, well, I want a place that both of us, we can share as a family instead of me being kind of, you know, passive in the process. Now I want to be a part of, you know, their childhood and experiencing these things together. So that's where he came up with Disneyland. So
we're at the flagpole, and actually this is where the dedication speech is memorialized that Walt Disney gave on July 17th, 1955. It's interesting because ABC News partnered with Walt that morning, and they sent a young actor that wanted to get his name out by the name of Ronald Reagan. And it's interesting because when you watch that morning festivities, you can see him introducing Walt Disney, and it's a lot of fun. Actually, as Walt gave his speech to welcome the world to Disneyland, it was a year after they broke ground, which is just amazing to see. But he gave a wonderful speech that morning that has really lived the test of time. And there's some great things to see while you're here at the park. but this is one of the first stops that I like to make because it's really Walt's welcoming to you and your family. To all who have come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land.
Here age relives fond memories of the past. And here youth may savor the challenge and promise of the future. Disneyland is dedicated to the ideals, the dreams, and the hard facts that have created America, with the hope that it will be a source of joy and inspiration to all the world. Thank you.
This is now the Disney Gallery, and it used to be the Disneyland Bank, one of the only banks in the world open on Sunday. And so now they've switched it over to the gallery, but you could go in there and exchange your American dollars for Disney dollars. The extra special touch here is that detail is important at Disney. Look at the steam coming out of the banner. Something that hardly anybody else does, but Disney's special touches make this such a special place. This is the Main Street station where you can go on a grand circle tour of Disneyland Park. And they're about ready to open. It's an exciting time where there's some great things to do. You can actually ride Lily Bell, which was the Disney family's private railroad car. So we're getting ready to go in to see if we can get a ride on the Lily Bell, and so we're crossing our fingers that we can. Now, another thing that I think is a lot of fun is when you ride the trains here at Disneyland, the trains were made by Walt and his buddies. So they're steel and oak and brass, and they're a smaller replica of a real steam train. But it's so fun to be on something that Walt and his friends made from hand. So we're gonna go in and see if we can get a ride on the Disney family car. This was actually a train that Walt made to go around his home in Holmby Hills. Hey Tony, how are you? We really want to ride the Lily Bell. What's it going to take?
Fred's going to be doing the times right now.
Fred, okay, great.
Okay. A fairly large group, there's 16 of us.
How many are you?
16.
14.
That's okay, I'll sit it out.
Okay. Let's see, it'd be 3:15 or 5:30?
Let's do 3:15.
Is there any way I can talk you into the 5:30? Because we have to leave on a plane. And that would be awesome. That's the only time that we could ride it.
That's very Disney of you.
Thank you very much. That is very Disney of you. Thanks, Fred. I appreciate it. Awesome. We got a ride on the Lily Bell at 3 o'clock. We'll be back.
So we're going on the train.
And we're walking down Main Street. Again, the magic is happening, and we see the Matterhorn. Actually, Walt created a movie called Third Man on the Mountain and fell in love with the Matterhorn. It was funny because he began to work on it, and the city council wouldn't let him build it. It needed to be a sports complex if it was over 3 stories. So Walt put a basketball court in the top of the Matterhorn, made it all happen. So we're at the top of Disneyland right now, and this was patterned after Walt's boyhood home, Marceline, Missouri. And it uses a concept. Disney was really into set design, obviously, because he was a filmmaker, but also he loved those miniatures. And so this is a concept called forced perspective. So if you look at some of the bricks on the buildings, the bricks on the bottom are bigger than the bricks on the top, and it forces your eye to think that things are a little bit bigger than they really are. The gas lamps at the park were actually salvaged out of a trash bin. One of Disney's cast members went over to salvage them out of the trash yard, and now they're here, gas lamps at Disneyland. Now the interesting thing about Main Street is it's the turn of the century in America. And so there's a lot of excitement. The Industrial Revolution is going on, and new things are coming to be, and Walt wanted to preserve that. It's a great place to see what the turn of the century was like in America. There's the omnibus, one of the turn of the century omnibus, the coolest ride in Disneyland. Hey!
July of 1955, when Walt Disney first opened Disneyland.
Along Main Street, there are names on all the windows as if to say that that is that person's business. This is one of the greatest examples of Walt, paying homage to someone who had an impact in his life. This is Elias Disney, Walt's father. So every name on the windows on Main Street had an effect on Walt's life or the creation of Disneyland. This is paying homage to Ron Dominguez, who was the owner of the property that Walt bought that eventually became Disneyland. Mark was the designer and worked for Walt, and is actually the guy who came up with all the sketches, ideas, and songs for Pirates of the Caribbean. Another window that's one of the most important ones for Walt is he believed that it takes people to make the dream a reality. So this is his way of saying thank you to every cast member that has worked or will work at Disneyland Park. We're at the movie house at Disneyland Park, and inside are some of the original Mickey Mouse cartoons. Actually, Mickey was born, everyone says, on 1928. And so you can see some of the original movies. Steamboat Willie actually premiered in New York in 1928, and that was the first time that the world became to know Mickey Mouse. And so this is an example of what you may have seen when you came to see an original Mickey short. So let's slip in there. This one's actually Steamboat Willie right here. Steamboat Willie, Plain Crazy, The Galloping Gaucho, some great original Disneyland films. Now, an interesting part to this is there was a young man by the name of Ub Iwerks, and he's really the guy that made Mickey famous and come alive. Walt was best known for bringing the great people together to do great things, and Ub Iwerks is really the animator that made Walt Disney famous. If you're a Disneyland fan and a Disney fan, there's a lot of homages that are paid to Walt's hometown. As you can see, this says Hotel Marceline, and that is where Walt called his childhood home. And so you can see a few of these things upstairs. Right now there's a young lady that's playing piano upstairs, and so these attention to detail is so important. And so if you take the time to find out about the park, you can discover amazing things that most people just don't take the time to find.
Behind us here, the Dream Begins, you can see various models or drawings of what Disneyland came to be over time.
Right.
So the top one is Mickey Mouse Park. That was supposed to be what Disneyland was supposed to be.
Right across from the studio in Burbank, right?
Yes. And so it was going to be on their property. It got a little bigger and kind of went into that Griffith Park with the Riverside Drive and the studio. Griffith Park said no, they didn't want it. So they ended up...
Boy, I'm sure that they lament that decision at this point, right?
So then it kind of came down into this right-hand model, and it's actually very close. This is a very early model. You can see it's kind of also got zoning by the squares and approximate size.
Right.
So True Life Adventure, which is the Jungle Cruise, is just flipped off to the other side.
And that was based upon movies of the same name, True Life Adventures,
and I think it was 11 different films that he made for True Life Adventures, and then I think they won 7 Oscars for them. So
yeah, that's
kind
what I understand.
Where current movies today of any kind of nature films, they're all kind of based in the style of the True Life Adventures.
No, I love this. There's actually a replica in the train station of the
There
Lily
is.
Bell.
We do have the Lily Bell, the replica. I am actually a conductor as well. So
You are?
I love trains.
So not only do you get to live the exciting life over here at the museum to get knowledge, but you get to live
I also am a conductor
on the rail as well.
Mm-hmm.
All throughout the park, the Imagineers and the cast members have put what they call hidden Mickeys. Look around, they're ubiquitous, they're everywhere around the park, and it's fun to go find hidden Mickeys. We're at the partner statue, but a little piece of history that you may not know. On his tie is a little insignia, on Walt's tie, and it's a little insignia that a lot of people think it's Chinese or Japanese, and that is not the case. It's actually an insignia for Smoke Tree Ranch. It's a ranch that's down in the Palm Springs area where he liked to get away from it all. And it's a great way for him to say thanks. Now, another item on the statue is Walt always wanted to be an inch taller than what he really was. So they made the statue an inch taller than what Walt really was. We're at the geological center of the park. If you look up from the compass, you'll see the castle. And Walt actually wanted some of the spires to be gold-plated. His brother, the accountant of the corporation, thought that was a bad idea. And Roy went on a business trip. When he came back, the gold was on the castle. Walt got his way yet again. This is a great example of forced perspective. If you look at the bottom of the castle, look how much bigger the bricks are than the top of the castle. It's an engineering technique that was used at the time to help make the castle look bigger than it really was.
This is the original castle construction model. So this was the one that was actually used on site in 1954.
So now, as I understand Walt, he used to like to see things in 3D.
Yes, he did.
So it's interesting because what you see in the model is not what you see in the castle, because it's actually turned around and the real thing.
The top piece of this castle is rotatable. So what ended up happening during the meeting that they were going to actually approve this castle model, as a joke, one of his Imagineers rotated the top to see if he would notice. And Walt said, "I like it." And they said, "No, Walt, we turned it backwards." He's like, "No, I like it. Keep it."
So actually, when you walk in the park, you see the back side of the castle.
Right, so you're seeing the front side is still the same, but the top part has been rotated.
Right.
So
that's great. So right now we're in Fantasyland and we're walking. This is the original dark rides that Walt created. They have a different facade than 1955, but the rides are the same nonetheless. And so you walk up here and on the left, you'll see Snow White's Adventures. Of course, one of Walt's first animated movies that went full length. Actually, now there's a scene in Snow White where the Wicked Witch pokes her head out the window, and there she is. Now this is an example, one of the details that you can see at the park if you take the time to look around and see. Right underneath that, we're going to walk up and see what happens when you touch the apple. A lot of kids get a kick out of that. It's fun.
All right, knights and ladies, please remain seated and/or standing where you're at and enjoy your ride.
We're here at the carousel, and one of the things that's interesting is a carousel goes counterclockwise and a merry-go-round goes clockwise. And it is a parade of animals. So any one of these that you ride is a parade of animals. If you go to any park, you want to find the white horses. That's the front of the parade. When Walt originally opened the carousel, it had black and brown and Appaloosa horses. When he found out that the front of the parade were white horses, he wanted every kid to be at the front of the parade, so he shut it down and had every horse painted white. Now, one of the horses here is very special. It's actually a 50th anniversary horse, and it's dedicated to Julie Andrews. So whenever she's on the park, she rides the white horse called Jingles. And we're going to see that in a minute as soon as the carousel starts. Jingles is right there with all the bells. We're here on the outskirts of Fantasyland at Disneyland Park. And this is one of the remnants left over from a ride that doesn't exist anymore. The Imagineers at Disneyland leave some sort of an homage to the rides that once existed. This is how you got off the Skyway on this side. You went over the park and it went through the Matterhorn and dropped down on the other side in Tomorrowland. So this is, again, one of the homages that are left over from a ride that used to exist at Disneyland and is no longer here. This is Big Thunder Mountain. It is actually patterned after Bryce Canyon, Utah. And it's a mine train gone mad. The wildest ride in the wilderness. This tag is what a cast member will give you, and what it does is they started on this side, and then I give it to the guy on the other side, and that tells you how long it takes us to get through the line. And so that's how they know what the wait time is. We're here on the outskirts of Frontierland, and this is another example of a piece of a ride that is no longer here. This was actually Journey Through Nature's Wonderland, and we're going past a place that was called Bear River. And this pond was full of bears, and they were trying to catch the fish. Funny thing is, the fish are left, but the bears are not. So you can see one of the tunnels that the train went through as it took you on Journey Through Nature's Wonderland. And it was sort of like a Moab, kind of an homage to Arches National Park, where there was a balancing rock and you could see animals and other things along your ride. Thanks. We're here at the Rivers of America, and this is the sailing ship Columbia. It's an example and a replica of the first ship to go around the world. You can also catch the Mark Twain here. Mark Twain is actually a captain's ship's way of measuring the depth of the water. Mark Twain means that the water is 2 fathoms deep, which means 20 feet, so they can go full steam ahead. And so these are the fun things that you learn at Disneyland. I have my friend Stan Clark, who is just as much of a Disney fan than I am. And so you're going to be able to get some great tips from him as well. He knows dates and times and all sorts of things, but being a Disney fan is a special opportunity because it makes coming to the park so much fun.
Hi, this is Stan. We are in New Orleans Square. New Orleans Square was an expansion to Disneyland Park. It opened, if I'm not mistaken, in 1967. We are getting in line for the Pirates of the Caribbean attraction, and Pirates was the last attraction here at Disneyland that Walt Disney personally supervised. Unfortunately, it opened a year after his death. Walt died in 1966, but it's considered by many one of the best theme park rides in the world, and it really is. It's a perennial classic.
If you look right inside, there is a plaque honoring those people who worked on it. And before, we showed you one of the windows to Marc Davis. He's one of the creative minds, the Imagineers, that worked for WED that created this. And by the way, WED is Walter Elias Disney's initials, and that was the corporation that he created to Imagineer the park, separate of Disney Enterprises, which was the video production or the film production company. And one of the jobs of the Imagineers is to make sure that queuing happens well. So they spend a lot of time and effort to ensure that they move as many people as they can through a ride as possible. And right above us is the Dream Suite, where Walt and Roy actually were going to build an apartment, but Walt died before it could happen. It's such a fun ride. The idea was to go in and see what pirate life may have been like, another adventure that you can experience at the park.
The original ride was modified in the 90s, and I think a lot of people refer to it as it was made politically correct. There were a couple of scenes that got heavily modified. One of them was the pirates were chasing women. And it was just, there were these scenes where these pirates were on the turntable, and there was a pirate and a woman in front of it, and they're running, and it was meant for comedy, but I think people thought that it might have been a little inappropriate for today's modern taste, so it got changed to a woman chasing a pirate, and she's holding a rolling pin. It's my personal favorite ride, I think, here, or maybe not necessarily personal favorite. Let's say it's in my top 5. It's in my top 5.
But they do tell tales, so says I, Blackbeard.
We were hoping you guys would come. Where are you going to play?
French Market.
Awesome.
Just for a few minutes.
Okay.
You guys going to stay here for this event tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the Court of Angels, and actually Walt Disney was working on this before he died. Right up here in the corner This was going to be a jazz club that he was working on, but after he died, it stopped immediately. Not a lot has changed since. It's kind of changing rooms now for cast members. But this is a quiet place in Disneyland that you can get away for a few moments and really enjoy the ambiance. It really has a nice feel to it because it's so private. This is the elusive Club 33, the most exclusive club in the world, and it's right here at Disneyland Park. Something that is a joy. And so if you're here on New Orleans Square, the reason why it's called this is because we're at 33 Royal Street. That's why it's called Club 33. Now, if you look, this is the parlor for the club, and then there's a set of stairs that go up here. Right here above us is a bridge that goes over to the main dining room. On the main side, there's a dining room here. Up here on the left is another room called the Trophy Room, where you can enjoy a great meal at Club 33. But again, the most exclusive club in the world. We're here right in front of the elusive Club 33 with my friend Dave Spencer, who is really the connoisseur on Club 33. Tell us a little bit about what you think about the club, Dave.
It's very cool. It's exclusive. The food's awesome. The service is awesome. It's a great place to eat.
And we're about ready to go into the club. So with a lot of excitement for Disney fans, this is the Holy of Holies of Disneydom. And we're excited to go in, the most exclusive club in the world.
Hi there.
When you first arrive at Club 33, you walk up the stairs and you walk past a phone booth that was actually used in the movie The Happiest Millionaire. You take a right around the corner and there's a harpsichord there. Now the Club 33 staff tell us that Elton John, Paul McCartney, and others have tickled the ivories of the harpsichord, and that's fun to see. Right next to that is a very heavy-legged table that was featured in the film Mary Poppins.
I'll be right with you. Take you to the lab. How are you? Thanks.
There's the symbol of the fair, the great Unisphere.
Back in 1964, Walt went to the World's Fair and he found that the World's Fair had a great VIP lounge. And one of the things that he took away from that was he wanted a lounge just like that in his newly built New Orleans Square. So he began to build Club 33. Walt thought that there was a special place needed where he could entertain visiting dignitaries and other sponsors, and he wanted a place that would complement Disneyland and let folks get away from the hustle and bustle of the park. What do you enjoy about working at the club?
What I enjoy the most is actually the first timers that actually come to the club. I like to see the looks on their face, like the whoa look on their face. I like to make sure they leave with the bigger whoa on their face, you know what I mean? And also too, the celebrity clientele we get to see here. It's not very often that the ordinary person gets to see like a high-profile celebrity dine here. And the coolest thing is you get to see the human element side to them. You know, they might do some quirky thing at the dinner table that you might do. Then you could bring it home and then kind of showcase it to your parents, and you're like, wait a minute, but Johnny Depp does it. And they're like, yeah, but my mom would say, well, Johnny Depp's not my son, so you know. So.
The trophy room has some unique lights, and at the base of the light is a microphone. Many say that it was built for customer service, and so that when Walt would leave, he could hear what they wanted, if they liked the meat or if they liked the noodles or whatever. But the microphone recorded or allowed the wait staff to give them what they needed. So that's the first room that you walk into, is the trophy room, followed by the buffet area down a hall, as well as the main dining room. So this is the Pirates of the Caribbean, and there is a Gilligan's Island.
Right here.
Right there, Gilligan's Island, the map thereof.
See what happens when you stick around in a flower.
I'm here with my friend Terry Jo. TJ is what they call her here at the club, TJ. And she was the best waitress we've ever had. So it was a fantastic job. Tell us maybe a few of the secrets of when you are taught by your boss. And you've been here for how many years, Terry?
In March, it'll be 29 years.
29. And so you're really the Jedi Master, and everyone else is a Padawan learner, really,
Well,
right?
I've been here, I'm number 6, so there's 5 that have been here longer than me. So I'm still working up the corporate ladder.
So what's the secret to making this place so special?
I think it's just the people that you work with and the wonderful guests like yourselves that make it fun. Every day is an experience.
Absolutely it is, especially here.
Yes, yes.
Walt was not there on opening day of Club 33. He had passed away, but there's no doubt in my mind that he had seen it, had been there, and understood the benefit of entertaining his guests once they arrived at the park. Tell us maybe one memorable experience that you've had.
I think the best experience I had was waiting on Tom Hanks and his wife Rita and their son's birthday, Chester, and every year he would come up until he was about 14 or 15 years old, and he would go around and ask each of the guests to sing happy birthday to his son as he was videotaping them singing to his son.
Oh, what a great story. Great story. So are you a fan of the park?
I am. I really am. It's really magical when you come in and you're on the opposite side of the street, more or less, without your costume on, and you come in as a guest, and you really feel the magic when you're on Main Street.
So you call up your boss and you say, I want to take some vacation. Where are you going to go? Well, to Disneyland?
I'm going to the happiest place on earth.
That's right. That's awesome. Thanks, TJ.
You're welcome.
Thanks, everybody.
You're welcome. Have fun in Utah. Bye.
It's not very often that I meet a guy that is a bigger Disney fan than me, but I really need to bow down. Dave is probably the world's connoisseur on the Haunted Mansion. Tell us what you love about the Haunted Mansion, Dave.
I like buying all the merchandise. I don't care about riding so much. It's just all the Haunted Mansion merchandise.
Oh, that's great.
I love Disney. I love Club 33. So it's a great time to be with. Best place to be with your friends. In fact, look, I have a cookie from Club 33 in my pocket.
The Haunted Mansion, when it opened, it also was just another one of the proverbial e-ticket rides. I actually think it truly was an e-ticket ride when they were doing ticket books back then with the A through E system, E being the best, most elaborate, most thrilling attraction.
So when Walt created the park and the Haunted Mansion, the designers actually wanted to have the outside of the home dilapidated, kind of falling apart, like a Haunted Mansion may be. And Walt didn't want anything to do with that at all. As a matter of fact, he said, the Disney crew will make sure to take good care of the outside, and we'll let the ghosts take care of the inside, where there's 999 happy haunts, and of course, room for one more.
There's no turning back now. This chamber has no windows and no doors. Which offers you this chilling challenge to find a way out. Of course, there's always my way.
Someone's dying to get out. There are 3 particular hitchhiking ghosts that you see, and then a 4th called the Hatlock Ghost. There's a ghost called Phineas, and then 3 others. You see all sorts of pictures of them throughout the mansion. Now this is the seance room where Madame Leota is doing a seance.
Creepies and crawlies, toads in a pond. Let there be music from regions beyond. Wizards and witches, wherever you dwell.
This is the dining room, and the trick to the ghost is an old magician's trick called the Pepper's Ghost. And you can see the hidden Mickey on the table. There's plates, a big plate with 2 little plates on the top. Now we're coming up on the attic. And it used to be that there was a bride that had her heart broken. That's why you hear a heart in the background. Now they've changed it to more of a Black Widow theme, and the bride wants to cut the heads of her husbands off.
Till you return, and a ghost will follow you home.
We're at a Small World right now, and it's interesting because Walt had two songwriters, the Sherman Brothers, and they're known for a lot of songs, but Small World, everyone either is very happy to hear the song or complains because it's a small world after all, over and over again. But it's a great opportunity to go in and see one of the original rides that was featured at the 1964 World's Fair. Walt brought it back from the World's Fair and put it in his park. And it's fun to go through. Now they just updated It's a Small World by putting Disney characters within the lands. So for example, if you go to Hawaii, you can see some stuff like Lilo and Stitch. And there's some fun things to see and do at Small World. And this is a history of all the tickets that have been at Disneyland. Back in the day, you could buy, when I was a kid, you could buy an A, B, C, D, and E ticket. And that's where we get the phrase E-ticket ride from, is because that gave you a chance to ride one of those. Over the years, the Disney family decided that that was not the best way to ride all of the rides. And so they introduced what we have now, and it's just open access to everything. Each one of the original tickets had a number on them, and Roy, Walt's brother, actually bought the first ticket. And there's a picture of the two kids that used it that is great, of Walt welcoming them to Disneyland, actually on July 18th, 1955, because that's when they opened to the public. When you come into the park, you get a ticket. It has a barcode on the back, and that barcode uploads to a mainframe at Disneyland Park. So with that, they do a queuing program, and it allows you to use a Fast Pass. So all that you need to do is come over, put your Fast Pass in, and it gives you a pass with an appointment time. So we're here at Splash Mountain. Splash Mountain is based upon a movie that Walt did called Song of the South with Uncle Remus. So you'll meet Brer Rabbit, Brer Bear, Brer Fox, and Brer Bear. And there's Brer Turtle and Brer Raccoon and all sorts of fun friends that you'll see. So once you get a Fast Pass, you can go right to the front of the line, and it's a great way to save a ton of time. We'll teach you how to use it throughout the park so you can enjoy all the time that you possibly can with your family.
How are you, sir?
Kenny, I'm great. Because we're using the Fast Pass, you're going to notice we're going to go right past a ton of people. That's right, I know. I know.
Like, she told us $5. My little one.
Now, one thing that's really important to note is the next Fast Pass that you can get on the bottom is 110. Sometimes that's different than the beginning of the next one, but what you want to do is make sure that you get as many Fast Passes as you can. So go back as soon as the time is up, that will allow you to stack your fast passes up throughout the day and use them. Hi, Mickey. We're here at the Disneyland Railroad, New Orleans or Frontierland. The Morse code that you hear in the background is actually Walt Disney. It's his speech that we made mention of before, and that's what they're transporting.
Your attention, please. The Disneyland Limited now leaving for a complete trip around Walt Disney's Magic Kingdom through the Grand Canyon and Primeval World. Stops at Mickey's Toontown, Tomorrowland, and Main Street Station. Last call.
You are aboard the Lily Bell. It used to be part of the Retlaw 1 of the Disneyland Railroad back when it was still Retlaw. The Lily Bell was brought onto the tracks in 1976 for the United States' 200th birthday. So it was rededicated that year. Lillian Disney did design everything in here, so it's more Victorian style. Our carpet on the floor is the exact carpet of Walt's apartment. It's one of the last few bits of carpet that we have left from that. So that's why we are very, very, very careful with it. We don't have the Lily Bell running in the rain. It's the only time that we don't bring it out. And in 1976, when it was brought onto the track again after being redesigned by Lillian, only VIP guests were able to use the Lily Bell. So any of the Disney family, any presidents, ambassadors, kings, queens, emperors, you name it, any VIP guest was able to ride around in the Lily Bell and just kind of hide away from everybody. In 2005, for our 50th anniversary, that's when we opened up the Lily Bell for day guests to come in and enjoy, and that's when we started doing our little reservation system where people can come aboard the Lily Bell.
Around Walt Disney's Magic Kingdom. Passengers will stand by to board.
Few people know that above the fire department, Walt had an apartment. If you look up there, there was a light. He would turn that on to let his cast members know that he was on the park. After he passed, they kept the light on, and it's on all the time because Walt's spirit is often here. That's a great way for them to pay homage to their founder.
It is 9 minutes to 6, and it will strike over 24 hours that we've been at the happiest place on earth. And look, we're even still happy. It's nearing the end of one great Disney day. We've been told by cast members that this is the busiest day they've ever had. And we would have never known it because we were able to use fast passes. We did it well. We were able to hit all the major rides before noon. But we could spend so much more time here telling you about Tomorrowland and Star Tours and Toontown and Jungle Cruise and Tiki Room and all the plays, not to mention Fantasmic and the fireworks show, Bill Hill and the Hillbillies. But alas, we don't have 24 hours to tell you about all the amazing things at the park. So what a great place to be. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to coming back and telling you more about each one of these things.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Disneyland is now ending one more Disney day. No matter how many hours you spent with us, we hope you've had a magical day here at the happiest place on earth. And now that it's 6 o'clock in the morning, there's only one thing left to say.
Now it's time to say goodbye to all our company. M.I.C.
Real soon. Why? Because we like you.
It is now past 6 o'clock, as you can see with the Mickey hands. Mickey hands past 6 o'clock. We officially did it, and we're still happy at the happiest place on earth. The sun's coming up again, and we're kind of thinking about doing it again, but maybe tomorrow. Thanks so much. It was such a great time, guys. What did you think?
Yay. Magical.
Yeah, it was a great day. About 4 hours ago, it wasn't seeming too great, but now it feels fantastic. Totally worth it.
We did it, and the spirit here is just absolutely cool. It's almost like a marathon race. People are walking out, getting at everybody's fives. There's cheering and jubilation. And as a matter of fact, people have wondered if Daisy really appears at Disneyland. But we have proof that she's here. So an exciting day. All the Disney characters are in their jammies, saying goodbye and good night for all of us going without sleep for an entire day. Have a great night. God bless. Good night. We did it.
Lay the napkin down flat.
Sorry.
We're going to do it half. This way.
So sorry. Oh, sorry.
Make sure you want to keep the flat until the crease is nice.
You're like a magician there, Chase.
Together, smash it up a little bit, get all the creases perfect. So when you present on the table, it's almost like you're crowning your plate.
Bravo, Chase, bravo.
And that's an exact duplicate of the engines that ran over 50 years ago. You can see the conductor there with his brass buttons glistening in the sun, the arms of the children. Hello, Walt. Hello, Governor. Hi. Boy, how'd the run go?
Oh, fine. The governor had her around through Frontierland, and then Fred Gurley there, he took her around. I picked her up and brought her in. Highballing in, boy.
Hello, Governor.
Glad to see you, Hart.
Governor Knight of California, ladies and gentlemen, and Walt Disney, of course, and Mr. Gurley, the president of the Santa Fe.
And of the Santa Fe and Disneyland, if you please.
That's right. Now,
Vice President of Santa Fe and Disneyland.
You gentlemen have lots to do down in the square, so we'll see you at the dedication.
Fine. Thank you, Hart.
All right, there they go.